my channel. Today we are going to talk about linked list. We'll start with some intro about it, some explanations, and of course we will code. If you like my videos, do not forget to like this one, ring the bell to be updated every time I upload a new video, and of course write a comment. So let's not waste time and start with the explanations. What is a linked list? In one sentence, we can define it as a collection of objects called nodes which are randomly stored in the memory. Now I guess you have a question like, what is a node? Don't worry, we will explain it now. Node is an object that usually contains two fields, data and a reference to the next node in the memory. I have prepared this little draw here and we'll have explanations. Imagine these three circles are our nodes. They will keep two values. They are data. Let's write it here. Node. They will have data and reference, which will be node. Let's say they will keep some primitive data type, which will be integer, and we call it value, and we have the reference to the next node. We don't need this here. Okay, this will be our node 1, which is usually called head, and let's name it like this. This will be our head. This will be our second node, and this will be our third and last node. Usually the last node is called tail, so better to name it like this. Okay, now we said that the node keeps only the value and the reference to the next node. That means this one will know only about this node, and this node will know only about the tail. Now here you can see that the tail is our last node. That means the tail will not know about any of the nodes we have here. And since it doesn't know about any of the nodes, its next will be no. So this is the very basics about linked list. Just a node with the reference to the next one. And that's all. Now let's implement it. Here I have prepared one small project. You can see just a normal console application. Here we will implement our linked list. For this we will need first a class called node. Now let's create it. Add new item. Wait for it, my laptop is not one of the fastest. And node. As we said before, the node will keep its value. It will be integer. Okay, and we have a reference to the next node. Let's call it next. And that's all. This is everything that we will have in our node for now. Now let's add our linked list class. Okay, let's add, gain new item. I'm gonna name it my linked list, not to have misunderstanding, since from .NET 7 we have already built in linked list and I want to avoid any misunderstandings. Okay, public. What we have in our linked list? In our linked list we will have a head. Our head will be a node. Node, gonna name it head, and we'll have one method here called addHead. It will accept a node. We will call it new head. And now what we have here? We have two cases. Imagine that we just create our linked list, we do not have any nodes inside, and we add the first one. That means our head for now will be no. So if head is no, head will be new head and return. But in case that we already have a head and this is not our first node, what should we do here? Let's make it like this to be easier for understanding. Now our head will be this one, but before that we will need a reference to the next node, and the next node will be our current head. So new head dot next will be equal to this dot head, and this dot head will be equal to the new head, and that's all. We already have a linked list. Now let's make some tests. Now let's go back to our program class. Let's see my linked list. Sorry. Come on, find it. No. My linked list will be equal to new linked list. Yeah, should be like this. Okay, so our first hit will be this one. Linked list dot add head new nodes. Now I want this node to accept a value, and this dot value will be equal to value. Okay, new node with 3, let's say. Now I do it couple more times, 2 and 1. Now let's say var current node will be equal to linked list dot head, and let's say console right line current node. Now our current node will be 1. After that I want to do it like this, current node dot next dot value. Let's better put it here. We'll have to be 2, and that will be 3. Okay, let's start from here. Now, okay, what we have in our linked list for now? We added 3 nodes. The first one, which is our head for now, is the last one that is added. It's something like stack. Okay, and usually stacks and queues are much easier to be implemented with linked list. Okay, our head has value 1, that means this the last one, and the next one is the second node with value 2, which has the next is the last one with value 3, and since it's the last one we don't have next. Now let's see it. Now you can see 1, 2, 3. Our linked list is called singly linked list because we keep reference only to the next node. It's connected only in one way, but there's another way. We can connect it in both ways. Now let's see this. Okay, we are back to our simple drawing, and here we have a single linked list. How we will create a double linked list? It's very easy. We will have a reference not only for the next node but for the previous one. That means here node 2 will have the reference only for node 1, and our tail will have only we'll also have a reference for our second node. Our head will not have a reference to the previous node since this is our first head. And this is all we need to create a doubly linked list. It's that simple. Now we will code it. We will also add one method called addTail, and we will see that we can iterate not only from the head to the tail, but also from the tail to the head. Now let's see it in the code. Now this is our project. We'll add some new things. Now let's go to our linked list. Let's go to implementation. We'll have now a new property which will be called tail, and it will keep a reference to some node. We have also one method which will be called add tail, and we have node new tail. Oh, sorry. Node. Okay, we will implement it later. Now let's go to our node class and let's add new property which will be previous. This will be our reference to the previous node. And here, what happens when we add head and we do not have another nodes? As we said before, our head will become this one, the new head, but also our tail, not tails, tail will be the head. What's happening here? We have one node, that means this node will be also our head and our tail. In the cases where we are adding a head and we already have nodes inside our linked list, what's gonna happen? In our head, that means this dot head dot previous will be our new head. This is our case which will be here. For example, we already have this head and we are adding this node number 2. Now let's remove this one. Our node number 2 will become the new head, and the previous of our new head will be our current head. That means our head will come here. Now let's remove this, and the new head will be our current head. Yeah, that looks good. Okay, now let's go back to our addTail method. Now we have again this case. I'll copy it from here. Don't do this. This will be our tail. When our tail is null, that means we do not have elements inside our linked list. And again, our head and our tail will be the same node. In the cases when we are adding tail, what's gonna happen? Now our tail dot next, because our tail will no longer be our tail, will be equal to new tail. Yes. And this dot tail, new tail dot previous will be our current tail, and finally our tail will be the new tail, and that's all. Now let's go back to our program. Let's show that all we write is working. Now I want to do it my linked list.tail, which will be again 3 Now I want the tail's previous element, which will be 2, and tails dot previous, which will be our element, or sorry, and it is our head. Now let's show this. Now you see our linked list again has 3 elements. We talked about the head, the next of the head, and the next of the next of the head, which is actually our tail. Now I think this is not interesting anymore. What happened? Oh, sorry. This one. Now we want to console write line our linked list.tail. I'm sorry, I'll need the value here. Dot value and dot value. Okay. Now again, we console write it starting from the head. The first element, the second, and the third element. Now our tail is again this element with value 3. So it will be written here. The previous of our tail is actually our second element, which will be 2, and the previous of our previous element's value will be 1, which is actually our head. You can see it here. Now let's show that our add tail method is working correctly. Okay, here I will console write line. No, sorry, actually before that, linked list add tail, new tail, sorry, new node with value 4. Okay, that means here we'll have 4, we'll have 3, we'll have 2, and we have 1, and this is our head. I'm gonna leave it like this. Of course it will be much easier to do it with the loop, but I want to show just this example. Okay, we are here. Now in our linked list we already have 4 elements, and our tail is the last one. We can see it here. Okay, come here, and we have the 4, which is our tail. The previous of our tail will be 3, it's like this. The previous of the previous will be 2, and we're going back to the first element, which is 1, and this is our head. You can see it. Oh, sorry. Previous of the previous of the previous, and you can see, yeah, everything works, everything's okay. Of course you can do much more things with it. You can swap the head and the tail. It's not very complicated to be done, and this is the basic things that you need to know about the linked list. Now we created some implementation. I hope to be helpful for everybody. Thank you for watching. Please leave some comment, like the video, and ring the bell. See you in the next video. Bye bye.